the course of the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be focusing on AI-related developments and how these developments are really changing several segments. So, of course, I'll take the names once again. Naveen Kukreja, the co-founder and CEO of Paisa Bazaar, is joining us. Deepak Sahni, the founder of Healthians, is joining us, and Ashish Kashyap, the founder of IND Money. But let me come to you first, Deepak, in terms of the kind of changes that we're seeing in the health industry, and that's what everybody's been seeing. That it is the health segment that is going to see a massive change. Besides health, there's going to be changes in education, there's going to be changes in the delivery of services that India has been rather focusing on with respect to DPI, digital public infrastructure. So with DPI, we saw payments ecosystem being catalyzed, but a similar change could come in the health ecosystem as well. Tell us from your understanding the kind of disruption that you're seeing and the opportunity that it really brings to the table. Give us in specific terms.
Yeah, thank you. I think from health perspective, I think a lot of things have been changing specifically from an AI point of view. If you really look at, this is one of the segment that probably have started using AI worldwide very, very early. Starting from a very small use case of our radiology as a service, wherein you look at thousands and thousands of scans together, and then you look at the minutest of the details in that particular scan that can be done by using an AI, and taking that from obviously reading large set of data to now looking at probably predicting diseases, right? So a lot of stuff in terms of including genetics and everything else is actually happening in healthcare, and which has become a reality. At our systems, like in 2014-15, what we used to do through algorithms, today we do much powerful data analytics through definitely AI, which is if we get a report of somebody, we don't analyze the current report. We look at all the past 8, 9, 10 years together. And then from 10 years, we see what are the trends. We also see the trends of people in that similar age groups, in that similar geography. And there's a lot of analysis that happens over it for which we can predict a lot of things. So I think from that angle, the patient is getting empowered, the doctor is getting empowered, and a lot of hidden things are coming in highlight, which probably was not possible earlier. So all that is a smaller use case, but there are a lot of use cases worldwide in reading those particular data and the implementation of AI in healthcare. What is going to be actually happening in for? One, it is actually empowering a patient with a lot of data on insights of health, because you have wearable devices like these, then you have your own lab data, then you have your mobile data, then you have your steps data. Everything combining it together is seeing if there is a trend coming in, and it is automatically getting analyzed. So that's the most common use case that we see today that the healthcare is using in AI.
So Ashish, you've spoken about a lot of use cases and how they're going to benefit customers, and not just customers, but businesses like yourselves as well. So before I come to the two of you, let me ask you one more question on the kind of investments that you're making into AI as of now, and is it giving you the ROI, or is there more time when that ROI really happens for businesses like yourselves?
Yeah, so I think, so there is a lot of companies who have started using AI, and then specifically there are a lot of startups also coming in there, because the moment the company starts to use AI, there's a lot of product that needs to be developed also. And now I'm seeing also there are AI marketplaces coming in, because people don't know what AI to use. There are about thousands of them in the market, right? And then this is what is very, very important. So I think from that perspective, there are certain companies who are actually innovating a lot of products. And largely from an investment point of view also, what we basically look at is what is the real use case and implementation of that particular product in the market. And that's the most important thing. If that product is really, really, is just a fad, or is it an actual use, right? Because there is a lot of things that people say it's being done by AI, but actually at the back of it, it is just an algorithm. There's nothing which is an AI. People use words like machine algorithms or machine learnings and stuff like that, but it's actually not learning. It's just happening the return on the same data. So first we have to actually look at what is the use case it's solving, and it is really the learning curve or not. Because to use an AI, it has to have at least last 7, 8, 10 years of things. You can't just create a company today and when 6 months of data you start saying that it's basically an AI product. It doesn't happen like that. It has to learn a lot. And is it really learning a long time? So that's something that we look in companies at the time of investing.
Right. So essentially what you're stating is that there is some time before businesses like yourselves continue to see ROI so far as the deployment of AI is concerned. What is your perspective on that? If you could share your perspective on deployments, the kind of deployments that you're making into AI.
You know what, if you go back 5 years ago, you would think that it's a fallacy, it'll take time. But what has happened in the last 1 year is it's really happened. And it's happened very aggressively, and I can give you use cases. So today's date, just like your publication will have a lot of, with due respect, will have a lot of content writers on IND Money. When you go to a stock page or when you go to a mutual fund page, that entire content is real time and automated by using generative AI. So that's a straight use case, which means that in a situation where you would have multiple number of content writers, you don't need that, all thanks to it. And of course, you can do automatic moderation also. The second very big use case is, I'm sure a lot of you all have portfolio of investments, stocks, mutual funds. And you would typically ask your relationship manager or wealth manager, मेरे को जरा बताना कि क्या हुआ इसका. And that wealth manager, if he's or she's sophisticated, would go and dump it on an Excel sheet and do stuff. Whereas now, all this information we are able to deliver to users that listen, what should you be doing? Not typically direct advice, but what activities should you be doing to improve your portfolio? Are you well allocated or not? Information which is available real time, which would be very hard for human beings to process. So that's the second big use case for us. The third big use case for us is customer service. And that's actually the hardest. If you go back 10 years, everybody tried to crack chatbots. But now it's really happened because we see that a lot of intelligence has come into the bots being able to answer and resulting in speed turnaround time and resulting in number of people needed to do the same. And last but not the least is, at least in my company at IND Money, every engineering team needs to be now using AI. So whether you're writing automation QA, whether you are generating code, whether you are even generating high-level algorithms, test it with the AI tools. So I think now it's just here, it's just happened, right? We cannot run away from it. Everybody needs to embrace.
Absolutely. We can't really run away from it. So how are you not running away from it? And of course, incorporating AI into your business. And I want to understand from the point of view of going beyond bots, because that's what we saw in late 2023, 2022, 2023, when chatbots or OpenAI's ChatGPT first came into the picture. But how are you innovating beyond just chatbots? And how is AI really aiding your business?
Sure. So I run a fintech, Paisa Bazaar, and so does Ashish. So our view will be more from a fintech perspective. If you see the financial services industry, in terms of the contribution to the GDP, it's about a third of GDP, roughly, give or take. So it's one of the largest categories. And so would be the case, I think, if we see in terms of employment or the number of people associated with the industry. What I see is that across, Ashish talked about advisory, which I think is actually the most complicated piece and will evolve over a period of time. But what will happen first, and what we are working on as a company, are I think areas like service, for us sales. So we employ, for example, 3,000 people who are assisting consumers in selecting, then applying, then kind of going through the benefits of the products, whether it's credit cards, personal loans, home loans. And thirdly, in terms of operations. So you see the banking industry in terms of the number of people who are deployed in operations doing what is a fairly mechanized or mechanical kind of a repeatable job. And some of that will be the easy use cases which will get replaced with or used, where the AI will come in. Initially, it will augment the productivity of the people. But of course, the big risk for the country and from an employment perspective would be that if it replaces the job. Absolutely. We will see that, the chatbot is something that like Ashish said, will go more towards advisory, etc. But what we are working on as a company is we are trying to see the repeatable part of both service, operations and sales, and how AI can help take part of that role and thereby augment the productivity of the remaining employees. But of course, that will mean that not as many employees would be required to do the same level of activity. We're also working on technology use case that Ashish talked about, but I think he covered it really well, so I won't add to that. But across sales, ops, service, technology, I think the first use case will start to become visible in the next 1 year only. I think advisory, which is fairly complicated, will start now. Great to hear that it started, but I think over a period of time it will evolve, and I think replacing the humans or the advisors will be probably the second phase of that.
So what percentage of those jobs will get replaced? Because I'm asking you this question, I'm glad that you brought this up and accepted that there will be some roles that will be replaced due to AI, and that's something that the DBS Bank CEO has also just stated, that 4,000 jobs over the next couple of years at the bank will get replaced due to AI. He said that in the past 15 years, he's not seen anything like that. So that's consequential, right? If a CEO of such a big bank, such a big conglomerate is making those kind of claims, so what percentage of jobs will be lost, at least in your sector? And then I'll come to the two of you.
I think if we look at the work that's repeatable and replaceable with AI in the first phase itself, and then and hence making the people who remain far more productive, making them productive by 2x looks like a fairly achievable target from a next 1 to 3 year perspective. And if you're making somebody more productive by 2x, and if the business was not growing, of course the jobs will reduce by half. But of course, hopefully, because India is a growing country, your business also should expand at the rate of 15-20%. So overall, I would say like to like, probably half of the jobs. But because the business should expand, the good businesses should. So the job impact would be there, but hopefully lesser than that.
But Ashish, the big question then is that companies, if these kind of roles are getting outdated and these jobs will be lost to AI, then it is incumbent upon companies to partake in skilling and reskilling initiatives so that the workforce of tomorrow is AI ready and it's ready for any kind of technological changes that are happening.
I think there is a lot of democratization of AI which has happened. So if you go back 10 years, if I couldn't write a code because I needed to know the syntaxes, but today's date, I'm able to extract code. It's democratized, right? Same way, if let's say there is a customer service leader in a company, that person should start learning how to do prompting and what should be the logic so that his team becomes more productive, right? And as Naveen said, that as his team gets productive, the business grows, and if the business grows, then the probability of job losses would be lesser. But having said that, the people who don't evolve, which in any scenario, survival of the fittest, right? If people who do not evolve will have disruption, and that will be large percentage in some of the subsectors in our industry.
So essentially, people also need to skill themselves. But again, I'll bring up this point once again, and that's essentially on the skilling and reskilling part that companies need to undertake. I mean, the government of India in budget announced very many initiatives so far as skilling is concerned. The Prime Minister has, of course, stated that India's biggest strength lies in the talent pool that we have. However, skilling initiatives is something that we need to undertake. I want to get your point of view on how you're really seeing this skilling piece evolve, because eventually some businesses will say that we're not finding the right kind of workforce, as has DBS CEO said, that we're not able to find the right kind of people for our job.
Sure. No, I think like they both added, I also think like it's very clear that anything that probably had a lot of value because of the education and the stuff that from number of years, right, that has gone away, right, because that information is now readily available. Is it even if it is coding that you have learned, or you have learned skill of writing, or you have learned any sort of skill which was only available to you, today it is available to everyone. The only smartness that plays here is who's more creative. the one that is more creative will actually win the game, right? And that's where he talked about the new roles like a prompt engineering, right? So all in all, I see there is going to be a lot of new roles coming in. There are a lot of new jobs coming in, but at the same time, some jobs are definitely going to be effective. Now, skilling comes to the picture. Now, the skilling people think right now is if you know how to run ChatGPT, it's a skill. It is not, right? Because there is a lot more behind it, right? So, and also it is a lot of responsibility on companies and the people using this particular thing, because what you input is going to come as an output later, right? So you should first know what to input, and that is one where the skilling is required, because you're making a program learn, and the input has to be very, very precise and clear before you need the output from there. And that's where the whole learning process and everything comes in. I think organizations will definitely put this thing, but organizations are further on risk, because if I tell my content writers to use ChatGPT and do the content thing and give me 4x productivity, I know finally this content is not accepted, right? So I need to also train them and tell them that for some stuff you should not use it, and for some stuff you can use it. So all of that will also come in picture.
Right, Deepak. Naveen, you want to make a point?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a point on the skilling part. While I think what we need to do as companies from the next 1-2 years, everybody is getting visibility and we'll do the job. So, technology team skilling, etc. is something that's already happening. At least we are doing it. I'm sure Ashish is doing it. I'm sure Deepak is doing it. I think an interesting long-term problem that I'm not only a CEO of a company, I'm a father. My son is 13. So when I think about people of that age who will come into workforce, let's say about 8 to 9 years from now, how do you think about skilling them as a parent, as an educator, etc.? And at least my personal belief is that basic things, basic skills like ability to problem solve, ability to be very dynamic, ability to be creative, ability to handle pressure, and ability to be patient and execute things. Some of those skills will become very important, because a lot of needs to know the coding, for example, Ashish said. All of that would have evolved so much that you don't know which particular coding skill or language skill to impart to these kids.
Absolutely. And Ashish, let me get in your perspective here. Now, when we talk about skilling and reskilling in jobs, there is a very, very crucial aspect to all of these themes, which is wages. Viyanantha Nageshwaran, India's CEA, said a couple of months back that while companies' profits have soared to record highs in the March of 2024, wages of professionals, especially at entry-level jobs, haven't really moved up that much. And that seems to be a big concern. So how are you really seeing the issue of jobs further exacerbating due to the advent of AI-related disruption and developments?
I think the key metric for us by the way, the last quarter was pretty bad in terms of earnings. I'm sure you guys are aware. But I think the key metric for all of us to chase, you guys as content creators and we guys as, businesses, is per capita GDP. That is not GDP, actually per capita GDP. That is like the North Star metric, which we all need to chasing. My sense is at $3,400, that changes the game.
If I can just add a small point, and you mentioned about wages, I think one of the big challenges for countries would be that with AI coming in, there is a risk of, there's already a risk of rich becoming richer, poorer becoming poorer. And with AI, that difference can become wider. And the wages at the top end will not be an issue, but you're absolutely right that how do we create a balance as a country? And it may not be possible for individual companies, but as a country collectively, if we can try and think of creating some sort of, whether it's a digital public infrastructure in AI, like India has done, or creating some sort of balances will be a very important challenge for the
Absolutely,
country.
and which is really the larger worry when we speak with economists and of course policy makers as well. One final comment from you, Deepak, on this issue, and how do you really see this wage gap widening even further, due to AI-related developments in the space, and what are you doing as a company to sort of mitigate that?
Sure. I think specifically in our space, even if the AI comes, still it is a clinical space, so you need to have an expertise. So that is not getting affected by AI anymore. But definitely for the other spaces, it is definitely getting affected. And I think the gap is also not just because of the reason of AI, but the gap is also about the people who have been in a particular, I would say in a particular job or a particular department from so many years, have been actually getting up and up and up, but their skills have not actually been matching in. So today, a company starts looking at from a place that the same skills can be probably achieved in about 30% less or 40% less. And that makes that person redundant or probably not growing at 30%, which he used to grow in the company. So it is also actually a upskilling game that a person needs to continue to do to deliver to a company. Right?
Which is really incumbent upon companies and businesses like yourselves to undertake some of those skilling and reskilling initiatives, even as we keep developing into this age of AI. With that, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on stage and for some of those insights.
Thank you.
Again. All right. A rich range of insights there. Thank you to our panel for digging deep into their personal as well as their professional journeys alike. Thank you, Sumita, once again, and thank you to our panel. And now, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like for all of our panelists to actually step back on stage for a moment because we'd like to felicitate you with a token of our appreciation. So if we could do that now, please. Let's kindly have all of our panelists back on stage. If we can have our panelists join us once again, we'd like a photo op and a felicitation. And to do the honors, if I could now please invite on stage President and Chief Operating Officer with the Times Network, Rohit Chadda, to please join us in doing so in acknowledging our guests. Thank you so much. This is a small token of our appreciation from etnow.in here at the Business Conclave and Awards 2025. Naveen, Deepak, Ashish, such a pleasure, such an honor. Thank you so much once again. All right.